All right, it's now 24 minutes after 7, and it's time for a different segment of Kivumbi 2017. And, well, Michelle Ngele is taking over now. And part of the discussion that they're going to have is the anticipated announcement today by NASA. What is it that we anticipate would be the announcement? So at this point, I hand over to Michelle Ngele, who's got a very able panel, and she's going to introduce that panel. Michelle.
And that's right, Michael. Anticipation is rife among NASA supporters as opposition leader Raila Odinga readies to announce the next move after rejecting the presidential election result. What to expect from the NASA leader is just but a mere guess, but I have political analyst Moses Ronald, John Simeka, and communication strategist Mark Bichachi, who will try to read into the closed envelope of Raila Odinga's statement. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Let me begin, first of all. It is very difficult to try and preempt what Raila Odinga will be saying, but what is clear is that what he will say will have the power to either deepen the crisis or get the country out of the crisis it is in right now. Let me begin with you, Mark, as to your thoughts on what Raila Odinga might be saying today.
You know, we can't look at his statements in isolation of what he's been saying before.
Right.
And let's remember that his first statement came out and he said that the system has been rigged and what we want is from 34s. Then the next day he came out and he said that we've checked into the system and we have won and I want to be declared president through Mudavadi. And then the third statement, which was a bit it wasn't complete. There were certain complaints that they had given to the IEBC that they said had not been addressed. I don't know what those complaints were. And then, of course, there was the statement from Orengo that said we will not go to court, but we will seek the court of public opinion, which, again, creates a very interesting place, because I have always said that in communications, what you always want to avoid is the space called conspiracy theory.
Right.
Because a conspiracy theory is without conclusion. Why? Because there is no investigation, there is no process to determine the truth. It is simply opinions. And if you ask people, different people have different opinions based on what they perceive or what they feel. So I expect two possibilities to come out of today. One, to see Raila the statesman, who you've seen sometimes, come out and say either he's going to court or he's going to accept the results as they are. Or to have Raila the activist, who would then say, like he said on Saturday, that we shouldn't go to work yesterday, to come out and say and take another hardline stance and try to push his persona and his enigma into certain regions of the country and create further instability. Now, the question of whether the statesman or the activist will come out, that's a big question.
All right, and Simeka, let me just hear your thoughts but before we go on break. Just taking from that address in Kibera, there was a lot of criticism that Raila Odinga and NASA had been rather quiet in the wake of the protests. Let's analyze a little bit part of that address they had in Kibera. And part of what he said is, and I quote, "We are not done yet. We will not give up yet. Wait for the next course of action." I don't know if you watched that address in full. There are several other NASA leaders there, James Orengo, Babu, we know, all of whom uttered things that we could read into as a country. What do you make, first of all, of that address?
First, what I want to start with is you introduced me as John. I would have thanked you if I liked that name, but I don't like it.
It's Joseph, I beg your pardon.
Joseph, yeah. If you said Joshua, I may have accepted. But in terms of the statements that were made in that rally on Sunday, I think perhaps the statement to pay much attention to is Raila's own statement. You know, in the heat of the moment, there are different people that can utter things. I wouldn't pay much attention to what Babu says, especially in the heat of a moment. I really wouldn't pay too much attention to it. Not any bias, but generally, after observing him as a student leader and what he says, how he says it, I wouldn't read much into it.
Right.
But for Raila saying that NASA is not done yet, I would pay attention to that, because it's a major thing, by the way, to dispute an election. And more so a presidential election result. It's a major thing.
Right.
It can, as my colleague here says, it can lead to even instability, depending on how it is handled. So I think what I read into it is saying that there is a grievance that has not been addressed. that he and the rest of the leadership and the membership and support of NASA will take it to the next level. And I suppose the next level is what he has told the nation that he will talk about today. Yes.
All right.
So I wouldn't read much into it other than to say, let's wait today and see what is this next level that is.
But of course, we have to, try speculate and see which direction this particular announcement is. I remember James Sorengo yesterday did say, let's not try and preempt what Raila Odinga is going to say, but he did say it will be big. Wait for it to come from his own words. Rono, I'll be coming to you in just a moment, but we must take a short break here on Kivumbi 2017. When we come back, the conversation continues on the anticipation of what NASA leader Raila Odinga will be saying today and the possible outcome of those utterances. Do stay with us. You can also interact with us on the hashtag Kivumbi 2017. We'll be factoring in your comments in this conversation. Stay with us.